Hello, friends. Welcome inside, at least for me, Ben Garrett, the Riverland Roofing Studios. Riverland Roofing for all your roofing needs, 662-644-4297. Riverland Roofing for all of your roofing needs. Our thanks to all of our sponsors, not just Riverland, B&A Bank, Game Day Haircuts, the Hearn Law Firm, Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group, you name it. And I am most thankful on this Friday, April 24th, 2026, for one Brad Logan. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Well, good morning, and a lot going on, obviously, right now, and obviously a lot going on tomorrow. So excited to kind of get into that. And baseball tonight, pending weather is obviously tonight and tomorrow, so we'll need to be kind of monitoring that. But, yeah, a lot, busy weekend.
Busy weekend. Let's go ahead and start there with number 5, Georgia, Ole Miss baseball. It's a big series. We've talked about baseball a little bit. It wasn't you and I, but me and Zach did the other day on Talk of Champions about what they need to do to clinch a regional host. I wrote something about that at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate on 3. That's that QR code above one Brad Logan's head. If you scan it today, you can join the Ole Miss Spirit or try us out at least for 5 days for $1. 5 days, $1. The Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate on 3. A lot of the chat is already popping off. Mary says all the time, God is good. Yes, he is. Hotty toddy. Hotty toddy in the chat from Earthbound Gamer. I like that little AI moon landing kind of looking spacey profile pic my man's got. Ole Miss fan 198824. Hotty toddy. Mick. Oh, we're here. Hey, fellas. Good morning to you, Joseph Moore. Good Friday to you, Ole Miss fan 198824. William, good to see you, guy. At the Jeep Adventure, man, he's here. He's usually not able to get in them for the live. So already some people rolling into the chat to say hello. We're starting first and foremost with number 5, Georgia, rolling into Oxford, Mississippi, weather permitting and all those kind of things. But set the table for this big series because we've been talking about this a little bit. We certainly did it. Me and Zach did on Wednesday in regards to what Ole Miss needs to do to clinch that regional host. The last time it happened, a team that won 15 SEC games and hosted was 2024 Florida. It's not a very, very common occurrence, but there are other examples as well that we could go through. But really, baseball America's Jacob Rudner told the Ole Miss Spirits Rebel Yell hotline that he thinks that magic number is 15. That means then you can't lose a series or can't get swept in a series the rest of the way. Win one more series, and you've clinched that. You probably feel best about 16 SEC wins with a strong RPI and good work Ole Miss has done. In your opinion, what is this? How big is this series? Set the table for it, and what does Ole Miss need to do to clinch that regional host?
Well, I don't think you can put into words just how big it is. I mean, you look at where Georgia is. Honestly, on paper, probably the best team in the conference, and you've got them at home, and you're playing really well if you're Ole Miss. A couple of things to kind of look at. Right now, Ole Miss number 8 in the RPI, according to Warren Nolan. That's kind of what I look at. Strength of schedule, listen to this, number 4 in the country. So you've got that going for you, 30-12. I think it was I think maybe it's Sam Sklar from the Clarion Ledger that pointed this out. I didn't realize this. Ole Miss is 12-0 in quad 4 games. Now, I think more importantly is not the number of wins, but the number of losses, which is 0. And so not having any quad 4 losses, they're 5-9 in quad 1 games, and then 12-1 quad 3, and 3-1 in quad 2. So you don't have those landmines that you've had in years past, which kind of goes back to what Ben talked about a moment ago. If you can get to that 15-win mark, you've got a lot of things on your side. And I think more importantly you've got on your side is that strength of schedule at number 4, the number 8 RPI. The non-conference record is 20-4. And then you got the non-conference strength of schedule is 57. And so just kind of looking at this, it's really good. And I was incorrect. 9-9 in the quad 1. I was looking at Florida State. 9-9 in quad 1s, 6-0 in quad 3. So everything's looking really good. And like William said, a huge opportunity. I think opportunity is the right word because – honestly, when you get a team like Georgia at home, right now Georgia comes in number 5 in the country, and Ole Miss is number 17 according to D1 Baseball. And it's an opportunity to where you can continue to try to hit the baseball. I mean, I think you looked at what Ole Miss did. Did they run rule this past Tuesday night?
Yes, they did. Murray State.
Yeah. So and you look, and I think it was Hayden Federico's at 294. That's up from
And
like
raking.
210 from not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, Judd's over 300 now, 333 after hitting one to the square the other night. But then Tristan Bassetta's leading this team at 352 from the plate. And so, Dom Decker's kind of cooled off, but Dom Decker just kind of finds his way on base. And so they're just kind of doing the little things well. They've got to find some production from Austin Foley. And I do truly believe that Austin just can't see the baseball right now. And I do believe that's going to turn, if not this weekend, very, very soon. So I'm excited to see if that's something that might happen sooner rather than later. Owen Pano is someone that's been red hot over the last couple of weeks, and so it's been fun to kind of watch him. And, Brett Mosley, someone that came in, so laid the bunt down, has played in 31 games this year. But you look at Will Furnace, you look at Judd Udemark, Bassetta, Federico, kind of the core of this team, and you have to kind of lean on their leadership this weekend. And you kind of have to lean on figuring some things out. And Ole Miss needs to do what it did against LSU when they were at home last week or a couple weeks ago. They need to figure out a way to play small ball, to figure out a way to beat Georgia. Georgia's going to mash the baseball. Georgia's really good. And, seeing what they've done over the last couple of weeks has been very, very impressive. And Wes Johnson has one of the best teams, not only in the SEC, one of the best teams in the country.
They're powerful. They can beat you in a number of different ways, and they're pitching it better than they have in recent years. I mean, this is probably one of the better Georgia teams that come together. They still hitting it like they do offensively, but the pitching has really come along as well. So it's a big, big series for Ole Miss. He's won 11 of their last 13 games after whipping up on Murray State on Tuesday, 19-2. What are the keys for you as far as what Ole Miss need? Like, you know that Ole Miss can't get swept as far as keeping pace with the regional host. If you lose the series, it's not the end of the world, but if you can win it, what it could add to as far as rocket fuel for the rest of the regular season in the hosting push cannot be overstated. But for you, what are the keys as far as Ole Miss? You have seen more from Hayden Federico. You've seen Owen Pano come on. I think the pitching doesn't get talked about enough for how good it's been. And I saw something this week about Cade Townsend and how dominant he's been. I mean, he could end up being the first pitcher or college pitcher taken in the NFL, and not the NFL draft, which is happening right now, but the MLB draft come the summer. So if Ole Miss is going to get out of here with a series win, who's got to step up? What are the keys to it, in your opinion?
Well, for those that have asked, tonight, game one will be navy tops, game two will be the cream tops, and game three will be the red tops. So that will be the uniform allotment, which has absolutely nothing to do with the game in and of itself, but a lot of people like to know what those uniforms will be. I think one thing I'm looking for is what role will Owen Pano play in this weekend's series? I mean, will he be a shortstop? Will we see Braden Randall possibly not play short? We're going to see Owen Pano back in that DH spot. That's question number one. Number two, Colin Reuter has just gone ice cold over the last couple of games. I mean, is this a weekend where Colin Reuter takes a big step forward? We've seen Will Furnace be red hot. I mean, he went from 270-ish up to 318. He is finding a way to get on base. He's doing a really good job of going with pitches. If that means taking it up the middle, if it means going to the shortstop position to where they're not shifting quite as much as they have been in the past with him. Will Tristan Bassetta stay hot? And I think if you look at Ole Miss from a pitching standpoint, they have pitched it. I don't mean to be hyperbolic here, but my goodness, they've pitched it about as well as anybody in the conference. And I would argue, Ben, they pitch it almost as well as anybody in the country. When you've got someone like a Hunter Elliott that can get things cranked up, a Cade Townsend that's getting a ton of accolades, Walker Hook's coming out of the pen that's done really big things. Landon Waters has been someone that's been kind of up and down, but Hudson Calhoun is someone I've really enjoyed watching. The Sunday game for me, if Ole Miss splits Friday and Saturday, let's hypothetically say they do, and then Ole Miss throws Rabe on Sunday. I think that's going to be a game we look back on in a couple of months, regardless of how the season finishes, and think, I remember that Sunday game against Georgia, win or loss, about how important that game is going to be. So, Ole Miss may need to hit themselves out of that game. I don't know. We've seen Rabe kind of be up and down on that Sunday start. So, is there a situation where we see some middle relief that can come in? So, I do believe that at some point we're going to be talking about Walker Hooks. We're going to be talking about a possible J.P. Robertson coming in. I mean, we saw J.P. come in a couple of games ago and look pretty good. Is this a situation where Hudson Calhoun gets some extended work? I thought Hudson has done really well out of the bullpen in many instances, throwing multiple innings. So this could be an opportunity for him. But I truly believe if Ole Miss can come out and get game one, then the rest is just gravy because I'm with you, Ben. I think you have to win at least one. Anything on top of that is gravy because at this point forward, don't get swept on the road. Win a couple of series at home. I think Ole Miss needs to get to that 16 win mark to solidify a home regional, depending on what happens, obviously, in the tournament in Hoover. But I'm telling you, after we talked about at the top of the show, with all of the numbers in Ole Miss's favor, I'm talking about every single one. You look at where Ole Miss is from that RPI standpoint. I want to talk about it just real quick one more time. You talk about where Ole Miss is from a strength of schedule standpoint. It's number 4 in the country. They're 20-4 in the non-con, 30-12 overall. But to me, the big number is 12-0 in Quad 4, 6-0 in Quad 3. There have been no landmines there. And just seeing what Ole Miss has done in the non-con and, of course, in the conference. And then their RPI is at number 8 right now, according to Warren Nolan, who's kind of, to me, has a really good metric to look at. So with a huge opportunity coming in this weekend with number 5 ranked Georgia, the best team in the conference. And you would like to think if Ole Miss wins the series – particular weekend, I would think they would catapult up the D1 baseball rankings. And people say, rankings don't matter. I think they do now. I think they're going to matter from this point forward. So now is when you need to start paying attention to those rankings in the back half of the SEC schedule and watching the RPIs go up and down.
Cade Townsend was named co-SEC Pitcher of the Week for his performance last week. Walker Hooks earned 2 more saves last weekend. He now has 4 saves and 3 wins over his last 9 appearances. Speaking of all the good pitching work that Brad was alluding to, Townsend now owns the 2nd lowest ERA, the 3rd lowest WHIP, and the 4th lowest hits per 9 innings in the SEC. Hunter Elliott is ranked 6th in the SEC in strikeouts with 73 on the year. And the Ole Miss pitching staff collectively has struck out 474, 2nd most in the SEC, 5th in the NCAA, and their K per 9 of 11.8 is the 2nd highest in the SEC. Their ERA of 3.86 is the 4th lowest in the conference. I do agree with you about Colin Reuter. That's one thing that, no disrespect to Colin Reuter, no disrespect to Ben Van Cleve, but he's got a very similar hitting profile. He's still sitting at 0 home runs. So if you're not doing damage when you're up there, at least going gap to gap, getting on base, and right now nothing's really going well for Colin Reuter. So need him to get back going, or at least find an alternative or two that you can kind of spread the wealth out with at DH, and that's why it's so important that Owen Payne will be the shortstop moving forward, so that they can really open up DH for a rotating number of potential candidates, because Colin Reuter he hadn't been that guy lately, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at Spirit Ben on Twitter. That's Brad Logan. We both write at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On 3. If you sign up today, you can try us out with that QR code above Brad's head. 5 days for $1. 5 days, $1, just to give it a shot, see if you like it. We'd love to have you. It's the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On 3. And certainly baseball, while a massive, massive series, and we're not in any way discounting that, it's not the only thing happening this weekend. Of course, Meet the Rebels is this weekend. It's taking the place of the big end of spring event, even though Ole Miss football still has a week of practices left after this one. Don't know what the availability is going to look like. As far as Talk of Champions, Sudu is going to be hosting from 11 to 1 a live show. We're going to do like a 4-hour live stream from 11 to 3 to cover both Meet the Rebels, whatever it is, and some double-decker. Got some recruits that are going to be coming by the tent, we think, to talk to us, working through some of that logistically. But I'm going to go to Meet the Rebels in the morning, just get what I can get as far as interviews, B-roll, to have it for you from the 1 to 3 block, which will be pretty much me and Brad. Whenever Brad shows up, me and Brad, and the early window will be Sudu, and Sudu will contribute throughout the day as well. But be on the lookout for that. Talk of Champions will go live to start the day. The Meet the Rebels big double-decker Saturday day tomorrow at 11, and we're going to be running until about 3 o'clock. So we'll see you all then, but mark that down on your calendar in that way. What are you expecting out of Meet the Rebels? Because it's, like I said, it's replaced the big it's a different, it's not what it used to be. Like now we can show pictures of Delano Townsend and stuff like that I've been trying to show all week. I had them stored up for a while. It's not what it used to be, a big end of spring event, but what are you anticipating? I think it's the right move as far as bringing this back for the spring. What are you expecting tomorrow? What are your impressions of spring football right now, where things are, and knowing that there's still a week left, Brad?
Yeah, it's not easy right now covering this team, and I thought it might open up a little bit when Lane went to LSU, but it's actually closed down more than it was before. I mean, the last, I mean, it's been 2 weeks ago, this past Tuesday, the media availability was 7.5 minutes, and so a lot of you in the chat right now are asking about different positions. It's really about who we talk to, not about what we've seen, because what we did see when we were there was very, very scaled down. It was warm ups. It was, very no team drills. Obviously, it was punt return and things like that. So, what we're going off of is who we talk to, frankly. So, I think obviously with Meet the Rebels, I want to commend the university by bringing it back. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that for quite a while, and so to have that type of community, I think is huge for this program because now in the world of NIL, the whole world of who's the new transfer, insert player here. With the Meet the Rebels Day, not only does Ole Miss have a ton of people coming back, and that's a testament to Pete Golding, to Walker Jones, to Keith Carter, and the entire administration from keeping this team together from last year's incredible run of 13 wins and all the way to the Fiesta Bowl in Phoenix. It's also an opportunity to meet some new players. And I think in some ways we're kind of circling back to what we love as college football. What we love in the world of, growing up in the mid 90s and talking to people like Walker Jones and, Cassius, um, Cassius Ware and Dwayne Dotson, those early 90 teams and Deuce McAllister. And we felt a some form of community with those players because it was kind of back in the day with Billy Brewer. Now, as you see on the screen, DK Metcalf, you see Dante Moncrief, you see players that are former players come back and not only coach the team, but like a Javon Patterson, who's at every Ole Miss event, that are bringing former players back. And I think from a football standpoint, Jessica Lynch and the M Club have done a really good job of kind of getting players back into the fold. And now you see with the Grove Collective, and we'll get into their opportunities if you're in the Grove Collective to be a part of a breakfast Saturday morning. So having that type of community, I think, is huge for Ole Miss. And I think that's one way that, Ole Miss didn't invent the transfer portal about how to recruit the portal or anything like that. But what Ole Miss has done is been very proactive about finding ways of utilizing the transfer portal to be at the forefront of it. And Lane is to be commended a lot by working with Walker and kind of finding ways to do that. And now Pete and his team have done an even better job of finding ways of getting in there and not only incorporating the transfer portal, but incorporating a sense of community. And I think by bringing back the Meet the Rebels Day, bringing back and allowing the kids and the families and the friends to come back and to meet some of these players and to shake Trinidad's hand and to get his autograph, to thank Kewan Lacey for coming back for another year, to have an opportunity to shake Pete Golding's hand and having that sense of community back, I think, is huge for this program. There's going to be a rep talk. I think that's happening from maybe 10 to 11 or 9 to 10. I'm not sure of the time of that. But David Kellum will be there. And so just having that available to the fans and having that an opportunity to kind of fold back into what it means to be a college team and not an NFL team. And kudos to Ole Miss for appreciating the fans and giving them an opportunity to kind of learn more about the program.
Absolutely. You're seeing some of the events on the screen for those that are just listening. Meet the Rebels is at 9:30 a.m. It runs to 11:30. Meet the Ole Miss football players at Finch and Kelly from 1 to 6 on Saturday. On Monday, we'll also be at our Riverland tent there on the square. Hopefully, we're going to have some people stopping by. Certainly, some recruiting targets for Ole Miss football. And then Monday, Darian Clardy, who I've been trying to get on the pod, and Caleb Cunningham, who I've been trying to get on the pod, shot Brandon memorabilia with those two players. I might run by there on Monday just to see them and see how they're doing, especially Caleb, and kind of do some FaceTime with them because we'd love to have anyone that wants to come on the pod, and certainly there are great opportunities for Ole Miss fans this weekend with Double Decker. Who are the Ole Miss players in your opinion that the Ole Miss fan needs to meet? One of them, I would assume, is going to be the obvious Trinidad Chambliss, and Marty Smith ran a great, I want to say, interview, and we're not going to play the full thing here, but where like he had a great interview with Trinidad Chambliss, came to Oxford recently. Here's some of that. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at SpiritBit on Twitter. He's Brad Logan, both right for the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate of On 3. You see it on your screen, Marty Smith. I went to Oxford to sit down with Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, talked about his rise to prominence, Lane Kiffin leaving, beating Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, on and on and on. Here's some of that. Here's one player you'll certainly want to meet at Meet the Rebels on Saturday.
The starting quarterback for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss. He's got speed, and he can spin it. Chambliss. He is dangerous no matter what he's doing with the football. This guy has become a folk hero.
It's kind of crazy to think that this young man was a backup quarterback when the season started. Now he's elevated to the top of the sport.
How do you describe your journey as a player in the last year?
I would say a roller coaster for sure. That whole year, me transferring, having the year that I had, and then losing the semifinal to Miami, that was a bummer. After, the season, having to deal with all that court stuff, it was just a lot. My parents and, people who support me, they were kind of worried about my future and where I was going to be this year. I'm glad that I can just focus on football now.
Touchdown, Trinidad Chambliss. The Bulldogs on top of the Division II world.
When you got in the portal after Ferris State and Austin Simmons gets hurt against Kentucky, you run on the football field. Walk me through those moments for you.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't nervous because, I've never played in front of that many people. The funny thing is, I actually forgot, the play call in the huddle. And Deuce Alexander, our receiver, he had to, say the play. That was kind of like a welcome to college football. In the SEC, the lights are bright. I blacked out a little bit.
At what point in the season did you feel like, okay, I have complete self-confidence?
Beating LSU at home last year because they were ranked 4th in the nation. I think we were both undefeated at the time. They had a really good defense.
Chambliss throws the end zone. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
It just doesn't get any better to me than when you hear a call from David Kellum. That was a great interview, and go check it out. It's Marty Smith, ESPN. That's one player that Ole Miss fans can meet this weekend at Meet the Rebels. Who are some other ones in your opinion? There's a question in the comments about Jalen Braxton. Let me go find it real quick. At Gary Rasco 4999. Ben, how has Jalen Braxton looked during practice? Ain't heard him mentioned much. Jalen is a move piece in the defensive secondary. Ideally, I think Ole Miss would prefer Antonio Kite and Jay Crawford be their starting corners so that Jalen Braxton, who has positional versatility, both as a starting cornerback, but also in the nickel at all safety spots, move where he's most needed. So Jalen Braxton is a critical piece for Ole Miss football. Not just this spring, but going into next season, a veteran presence and certainly a big potential piece as far as a move piece in the secondary, as he was, as they ideally wanted him to be last year for Ole Miss. I think you're going to see that more and more, especially with the added talent to the room, specifically Jay Crawford. So I would put Jalen Braxton among those guys that you absolutely want to meet. Trinidad Chambliss. Set the stage for Meet the Rebels, Brad, and who you think Ole Miss fans need to run, because you expect it to be a little bit of a zoo, right? It's first come, first serve. Doors open at 9:00, 9:30. I can't remember exactly. Parking's going to be an absolute mess. All those kind of things. Who are the priority names that they need to know, or new names that they might be trying to learn about here and now on this podcast?
I think as we see it in the chat here, a lot of the names are the players that are coming back from last year's team that maybe the fans haven't had a chance to meet. I know the university did a great job of allowing the players a chance to visit with some of the fans on the road in New Orleans and in Phoenix and when they were at home against Tulane in the playoff. So you've got the obvious names of Deuce Alexander, Cam Franklin, William Eccles, Trinidad Chambliss, Kejuan Lacey, those type names of the players that are coming back, Bryson Sanders. Obviously, I'm sure fans are really excited to getting a chance to see them. But I think names like Darryl Gill, Jonte Cook, names that maybe players that Ole Miss fans have not had a chance to meet yet. Luke Haas, maybe a player from last year. Keaton Thomas, Luke Farrelly. I think that's a name that Ole Miss fans might be interested in. Jay Crawford, Edwin Joseph, who I believe is going to be an incredible sleeper on this roster on the defensive side of the ball. So I think it just depends on kind of what kind of fan you're looking for. Blake Purchase is a name. Obviously, Suntarine Perkins is one. Jonathan Maldonado, Jordan Renaud, Jaheim Otis. What about that name, Ben?
Oh,
So having a chance to meet some of the newer players, I just think it's a win-win for everybody. The players always seem to enjoy the opportunity of getting to see the fans, and in years past, they usually break up the players into positions. So yeah, I expect that quarterback line to be real long. But if you have a chance, I encourage all the fans to go out and just, if anything, just thank the players for being a part of the program. I mean, it's a great opportunity to say hello and just to thank them for what they do. I know the university will have all type of schedules and schedule cards and everything to have the autographs from the players. So it's a really fun event. But those are just some players that I think it'll be interesting for the fans to get a chance to say hello to.
absolutely. The one I've got on the screen right now is Shakai Mills Knight. When I tell you that dude is absolutely gained some insane weight, I am not in any way exaggerated. You can ask Brad last time he saw him, man. Dude was
He's
just,
like a defensive lineman, yeah.
oh my gosh, dude, looked like a defensive lineman or an edge, something like that. That's one. I mean, he's really come on, and that's something that's really important for Ole Miss football behind Keywan Lacey, especially with what they've added. Here, you're looking at some of the visitors expected in for Ole Miss this weekend. 4-star safety Tavares Harrington, who is currently trending toward Notre Dame. Most of all schools. Another 4-star is Kenneth Simon II, a big linebacker target that Ole Miss is deep off in the game for. You see him on your screen. You've already heard about Keegan Croucher. He's taking his official visit this weekend. This is another recent visit for him. One of the top quarterbacks in the country, ranked number 13 by the Rivals Industry ranking as far as quarterbacks in the country, number 148 nationally. Cade Cooper. He's a 4-star wide receiver. He'll be in town as well. Defensive lineman MJ Woods. There's a lot to be looking for as far as Ole Miss football in recruiting, Ole Miss football in general with Meet the Rebels this weekend. You knew it would be a big visit weekend, but that's another big part of it. Look forward to catching up, hopefully, with Keegan Croucher and see how he's doing and those kind of things. Potentially at the tent for Double Decker over the weekend. We will be located doing the live show. I think right there across from Yaya's. I think that's where we'll be. So y'all come and say hello. Maybe you'll get to see Keegan Croucher. Maybe you'll get to see Kenneth Simon II. Don't know for sure, but yeah, come check that out. And what are you expecting really from Double Decker? For those that have never been to Double Decker, what's kind of the lay of the land, Brad? Like, what's the attack plan in your opinion? The game plan potentially for an Ole Miss fan that wants to come but has never been there before.
Yeah, it's really controlled chaos, obviously. But what I enjoy about Double Decker is incredibly laid back. It's a lot of people, but it's a very laid back environment. There's always incredible food. My wife and I always enjoy looking at the different art scenes. We're very fortunate to where in our house, this is unrelated to athletics, but a lot of the artwork in our house is original uh, um, painters, original artists. And so we always like to go every year and to kind of pick out a painting from a particular artist and we have them hanging all throughout our house. Just kind of one of the things that we enjoy doing. A lot of that artwork has actually been purchased at the Double Decker Festival, so it's really cool for us. Once again, I really enjoy the food scene. It's different folks from all around Oxford area have booths there that have great food. It's also a great opportunity to see people that maybe you hadn't seen in a while. I can promise you, if you're an Ole Miss fan and you go to Double Decker, you're going to see some friends of yours from years past, and it's always cool to get to say hello and to see folks that you may haven't seen in a while. And it's funny, Ben. You see those people you hadn't seen for 20 years. It's almost like you catch. You pick up right where you left off. And so Double Decker is a great spot to be able to do that. Obviously, all the business on the square will be open, and so it's a great opportunity if you're looking, and to patronize maybe some places on the square that you really enjoy. This is a great opportunity to do that. We encourage you to come by and say hello to us. Billy's put a lot of effort into the tent there at the Riverland tent at the Double Decker Festival. We appreciate Billy and everything that he does in Riverland Roofing. So we encourage you to come by and say hello to us. Sudu obviously will be there live. I'll be there with Ben, and we'll be roving around, and there'll be a ton of content from Meet the Rebels, and we'll be able to pass that along to you. And then Ben and I obviously we'll be live while the baseball game is going on, so we'll keep you up to date of the baseball game. I'm sure folks will be watching us inside Swayze Field too, so hopefully we can give you some content while the game is going on there. It's just a big fun event, and we're excited to be a part of it. And real quick, I've got a bump here in just a minute, Ben, but I just want to say this. Our whole goal obviously not speaking for you, but kind of some things that you and I have talked about. I've shared with different people too about what our goal is and what we do and what the Talk of Champions is. The Talk of Champions is simply and just kind of the right hand of the Ole Miss fan. What we want to do is for that fan that lives in Colorado or Maine, who, by the way, I met people in the Maine airport that are Ole Miss fans that live in Rhode Island that went to Ole Miss. And so what we do is for those people. And if you can't come to Double Decker, you can't come to Meet the Rebels, you can't come to the post-game press conference with Mike Bianco, we want to be there for you. We want to be able to pass that information along to you. You don't have that depth chart right in front of you. Maybe you got a big meeting you're going into, and you're curious about the RPI. We like to pass that information along to you so you don't have to go through all of that process. And so being the eyes and ears for the Ole Miss fan, that's our goal, and that's what we want to pass on to you. And so having those sponsors that support what we do and having all of you that support us and everybody that watches and listens to us, we just want to say thank you because we're so appreciative of you, the Ole Miss fan, because we want Ole Miss to succeed. We want Ole Miss to be winners in every competition piece that they're in because we support you, we support the Rebels, and most importantly, we want the fans to understand how much we appreciate you, and we want to give that information of anything that comes to us. We want to pass along to you, and we're grateful to be able to do that. Thank you for that opportunity.
Well, Brad's got to duck out. When we come back, quickly going to hear from some of our sponsors. I'll give you a couple of more names to know and answer questions from the chat. I've reached out to Zach to see if he can come join for about 15 more minutes. He's got the 3 little dots. That's not what I wanted to see. Oh, he's got a doctor's appointment, he said. Darn. So I guess Zach won't be able to join me this morning. But, let's hear from some of our sponsors. I'll answer some questions from the chat. Let's first say bye to Brad. Bye, Brad.
Thanks, everybody.
That's Brad Logan of the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, affiliate of On 3. That QR code on your screen. If you scan it today, you can try us out for 5 days, $1. 5 days, $1. Let's hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll jump to some questions from the chat that y'all been hitting me up about. This is Talk of Champions.
Homes and businesses from the whims of nature. You need more than just quality materials. You require Riverland Roofing. Licensed, insured, and certified, Riverland Roofing offers not only the assurance of excellence, but a tailored approach to your unique structural needs and budget. To learn more about what Riverland Roofing can do for you and the community, call them at 662-644-4297 or visit riverlandroofing.com.
Hey, Rebels, your truck is here. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford presents the all-new Ram Rebel. It's Ram, the Rebel way. Send an unmistakable signal. Rebel 24/7. Ram Rebel from your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford.
Come by, let's be friends. I'm Warrior Philip Hearn. Raising my family here in Mississippi, I've tried to teach my kids to help others. I learned that from my parents. And as a Mississippi lawyer, I want to help you too. If you're hurt in a traffic accident, 18-wheeler wreck, or have insurance trouble, call 601-720-3541. That's my cell. You call, I'll answer. Let's get started. Make your first call to the Hearn Law Firm today.
Start my weekend.
Own your day on the Network for Connected Living. There's more to see. C-Spire. Customer inspired.
This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett, now riding solo because Brad Logan, he had to duck out of here, man. Zach said he's got him a doctor's appointment, so he can't join me to talk more about this big recruiting weekend coming up. But if you're in town, first, Meet the Rebels is 9:30 to 11:30. I'll be there walking around. hopefully interviewing some players, some coaches, certainly getting some B-roll, certainly going to put something together for the 1 to 3 block where I'll be on the square at the Riverland Roofing tent. Come hang out with us to show you a peek inside, meet the Rebels for those that didn't get to see it, and also we'll have some interviews and stuff set up too. So come by the Riverland tent. I think it's going to be across, at least last year, across the street from Yaya's. Let's get to some of the questions in the chat before we get out of here. Jeff Sessions. Ben, a lot of Ole Miss fans are saying Dorian Barney might be the next Davison Igbinosun. Do you agree? Had Dorian Barney here on the podcast a week or two ago, was absolutely impressive. He's been a standout for sure throughout spring football. Typically, at least over the last 5 years when it was Lane leading the way, you just didn't see a lot of freshmen make any type of real tangible impact. I think you're going to see a difference in that this year. And amongst those guys, I think they're going to have a real impact is Dorian Barney. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. Be it in the nickel, he can run there as a corner. He's a safety if he needs to be. He has positional versatility too. He's very switchable for those 5 defensive backs in the backfield. And he's a guy that Pete Golding has brought up unprompted multiple times this spring, including in his most recent press conference, talking about what kind of player that Dorian could be. So Davison Igbinosun was a highly ranked kid out of high school, started games for Ole Miss as a true freshman, obviously transferred out and went to Ohio State. And I think Ole Miss, I think that's a good comparison. But remember, too, this isn't working the way it's supposed to be. That no particular player is guaranteed to come in and start and contribute immediately. But if you made me guess, if you made me put it out there, who I thought could really be among those guys, certainly Dorian Barney is one of those. But Davison Igbinosun, even when he was starting games as a true freshman, there were some ups and downs with him. So there's going to be some of that. But, man, I'm really impressed with what Dorian Barney's been able to provide so far in spring practice. And certainly I think he's going to be one that contributes for Ole Miss football this year, and one that you need to go meet the Rebels because, man, you're going to be impressed with him. I certainly was in our time that we got to talk. So at C. Rogers 4912, our resident LSU fan in the chat, sounds like Ole Miss will have an LSU 2019 offense, 5K passer, 2 1K wide receivers, 1K yard rusher, quarterback accounted for 65 touchdowns. That was the only time in history that has happened. Don't know where you're getting that from. No one said that at all. I certainly don't think Ole Miss is going to put up 2 1,000-yard receivers. One, Deuce Alexander or Jonte Cook, or yes. Do you have a quarterback that can pass for 5,000 yards? I don't know about passing, but certainly combining 4,000 or 5,000 yards of offense, sure. Don't forget, man, like this Ole Miss is coming off a season in which it set a new record for total offense with over 7,000 yards. So does that sound like, and you're returning your star quarterback, your Heisman Trophy candidate of a quarterback, your Heisman Trophy candidate of a running back in Kejuan Lacey, who broke Quinshon Judkins' single-season rushing record last year. So I'm checking those boxes. A 1K yard rusher, yeah. Maybe 5,000 yards or at least 6,000, like something in that range as far as combined total yards passing, not necessarily, but it's not as crazy as you think. So that's what I'm getting at. Don't back down. Again, no one said this. You're creating narratives that don't exist. So you can say what you want to. No one has said that, but I do think this is going to be one of the very best offenses in football, and I think Ole Miss is going to be a contender again. You're the one that's putting words in people's mouths. C. Rogers 4912. No one's backing down from anything. Landon Barnes looks like a dude from William Roden. Yes, absolutely does. Already built like Deshaun Walmack when he was a junior for Ole Miss last year. Really impressive kid. Ole Miss absolutely loves him. He's one guy that is going to be pretty hard to keep off the field, a lot like Dorian Barney in that way. Man, as far as physical stature, incredibly impressive. 6'5", already 250, 260, and he's got so much room to grow. Landon Barnes is going to be one I absolutely think Ole Miss fans should get to know soon. I mean, the comps I've heard directly, Marquise Haynes. And Marquise Haynes, as a freshman, set a new record. Or he was Ole Miss's sack leader by the time he left Ole Miss. But as a freshman, had the most sacks as a freshman. I don't know if he's going to do what Marquise did, Landon Barnes, but, man, he's certainly going to be a really, really good piece, not just potentially for present day, but absolutely in the future. John Carter, 5535. Where would some parking be for double decker? I was thinking about the old mall parking lot. Wherever you can find one. Wherever you can find one, man, it's going to be really hard to park in Oxford, Mississippi this weekend. So I would recommend just the closest you can get to where you want to go. The first opening you see, park it, man, because it's gonna be crazy. The old mall parking lot is never a bad way to go about it, but you're gonna do some walking in that way. So yeah, it's gonna be packed, man. It's gonna be packed. Ole Miss fan 19824 Ben. Do you, in your opinion, think we will make the playoffs next year? The schedule is insanely difficult. You got a 9-game SEC schedule. It's one of the toughest in the country. I think 9-3 for the first time in years, or if ever, can get you into the playoff. The question will be, what 9 wins are they? They have to be the right 9 wins. But now that's actually a realistic possibility because of the 9-game SEC schedule. If you made me predict, it don't matter who it is. If it were LSU, Georgia, if it were Alabama, if you're returning 2 guys who can legitimately say in the preseason they should be considered Heisman candidates on offense, not to mention a defense, which is something I've heard pretty regularly from guys like J.D. Pickle, who I absolutely love. J.D. Pickle from On3, the national analyst. He ranked Ole Miss number 12 in his post-spring rankings. But one thing he said that is holding him back is Ole Miss defensively, which coming off of last year makes sense. They certainly were not the same defense that the historic 2024 defense was. They got better as the year went on, but you still finished outside the top 30 in the most important categories. Weren't as disruptive on a down-to-down basis. Took guys like Prince Will a little while to get going, but they did get better. And I think now you're at a better starting place with this defense than you ever were as far as starting place with last year's defense, because William Eccles is established to go along with Centarian Perkins, because Cam Franklin is now established. You return Jam Brown, and you filled out that defensive lineup with decorated transfers. That's why I pushed back against the whole, I want to see what they do against the run, for example. They gave up like 4 or 5 yards per carry against the run last year. Yes, but that's what they directly addressed in the portal. I mean, Luke Farrelly, Keaton Thomas, Taj Butler, Tony Mitchell, to go along with Suntarine Perkins at linebacker, a defensive line that's one of the best in the country, already featuring 2 all-league caliber players, but certainly an All-American. Put it on the record. It's on his resume right here and now, William Eccles. I think this defense is going to be markedly better. So you consider those things, a defense that is better, an offense that, yes, you've got some real pass-catching questions that you've got to answer. Who are your top 4 options at wide receiver? Is Luke Haas going to be able to stay healthy at tight end? Your 2 starting tackles, offensive tackles, are they going to be as good as Diego Pounds and Jaden Williams last year? I had a coach tell me that, like, Trinidad covered for a lot with Diego and Jaden as his tackles last year, and that this group has more upside. But I want to see that before I make that kind of declaration, because those guys really did some good things. Diego Pounds, I think, is going to end up getting drafted this weekend. Day 3, guys, so not today. Today's around 2 and 3. If any Ole Miss Rebel goes today, it'll be DeJon Stribling, maybe Xavier Harris. But yeah, like it's been interesting to see this Ole Miss team in the limited time that we've gotten come together over the spring. And I do think that they'll be a playoff team next year. If they're not, it's a disappointment, and legitimate questions will have to be asked. I mean, I've had people I respect tell me straight up, but I had this happen with basketball too. You know, Chris Beard was like, and anybody in that building over there too, he's saying like, man, this is a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament, and he finished 15-20. I don't think Ole Miss fans will have the wool pulled over their eyes in that way with this team. But you have to temper the expectations, because coaches do have a tendency to oversell things. But in limited time, we've seen this is the most depth that Ole Miss has had. Now, will that depth translate to a program record 13 wins again? I can't say. But this is the best depth that Ole Miss has put together in a football team. William's absolutely right. Every room is good or better than last year. The wide receiver room has to prove it first. But remember, DeJon Stribling wasn't DeJon Stribling until like mid-October. Harrison Wallace was really good to start, kind of went, rode the peaks and valleys a little bit. There's a lot of mouths to feed. Cade Lee really never got on track. There's a way, or there's at least a vision that you can see of why Ole Miss will be as good with the wide receivers. But I want to see it first. Like, I want to see Caleb Cunningham. I want to see Cameron Miller, who came with LaDamian Washington from Kentucky, see whether or not he can be a contributor, because the production so far hasn't been there. But, man, LaDamian Washington loves Cameron Miller, and he's a guy we've heard has been really impressive for what they thought they were getting for what they've gotten so far. Like, he's exceeded expectations. But you want to see it. Isaiah Spencer, man, you've played a lot of football. but can you contribute to winning football in the SEC in your final year? Don't know that. So there are questions. And again, the offensive tackles for me are the biggest thing. So who are some players that y'all should absolutely be going to see? Man, go talk to those offensive linemen, talk them up. Go talk to Patrick Kudus. Patrick Kudus, the whole trophy winner last year. Go talk to my man Patrick Kudus, who's been such a huge piece for Ole Miss football. Tell him thank you for hanging around because he had options in the portal. He was pre-portaled by a number of different teams. Don't see the national backlash from it that you saw with Dabo getting up there on his soapbox and saying, well, what Ole Miss did is terrible and unfair, blah, blah, blah. Patrick Kudus got up in front of a mic too and said, yeah, I got pre-portaled. I had multiple schools call me. And you didn't see a bunch of shit being talked all across the nation about those schools. Or wait a second. But Patrick Kudus, man, what a great player and ambassador for Ole Miss. He's both become and continues to push forward too. Again, I want to say this for Shakai Mills night because there was a question in the chat about Shakai. Let's see if I can find it. Someone asked if Shakai could be a goal line back. William believes he'll be an NFL stud. From a physical standpoint, he's there. He would be he's absolutely already there. But now he's got a crowded room that he's having to deal with. Joshua Dye, JT Lindsey has been really impressive coming from LSU at C. Rogers 49-12. He's been really impressive coming from LSU, but you've got to do it. Everyone said Kewan Lacey, man, Ole Miss loves him, but you got to see him do it. And once you see him do it, you go, oh yeah, he's a stud. There it is. John Carter 55-35. Y'all see Shakai as a goal line back. I think that could be a role that he embraces. I think you could see him the usage for him be very much like with J.J. Pegues or whoever it might be, short yardage and things like that. But for his second year and with the crowded room, he needs to be so much more. He needs to make it pretty clear that he should be considered, right, as the guy to step in for Kewan when he goes. Year 2 for a running back in a system is massive. So this is a massive, massive year for Shakai Mills Knight. He needs to step up and be a dude for Ole Miss in some real meaningful way. Because if he's not, I mean, the first thing you got to think is, all right, is he hitting the portal next offseason? We'll see. But I think he's done or checked boxes in the spring that Ole Miss hoped he would check to where you believe he can contribute. You need Shakai Mills Knight to contribute because DGG's coming in the next recruiting class. Like he's the number 1 running back in 2027, teammates with Keegan Croucher. If you can get DGG on campus, that dude's not coming in here to hang out for a year or two. He's coming in here to be the direct replacement for Kewan Lacey. The hope then is at the end of the year, if you were to land him, he would come in here and go, oh, I also got to contend with Shakai Mills Knight. I've got to contend with Mekhi Frazier because look what he did in year 1 at Ole Miss. Joshua Dye, pick your guy. JT Lindsey. Kobe Price, 988. Excuse me. Lindsey from LSU been running with the ones as well as Frazier. He has. Kewan's been limited all spring. So it's been a lot of JT Lindsey, a lot of Mekhi Frazier, a lot of Joshua Dye, and more some Shakai Mills Knight. So for me, the rest of the way, a little over a week of practices left and going into the fall, certainly, and watching what he does in fall camp. Shakai Mills Knight, man, he needs to be that guy. He needs to be a dude. This has been Talk of Champions. Last call for any questions, comments that y'all want me to address directly. That QR code on your screen is for the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, affiliate of On3. And it's been a spring sale where you could sign up for half off an annual subscription. Right now, if you scan that QR code for $1, you can try us out for 5 days. $1, 5 days. Yes, Tommy Kinsler Kobe has been with the ones at left tackle. Terez Davis has been at right tackle. Carius Kern right now is banged up. He hadn't had a good spring. He hadn't had a great start to things as Carius Kern, so he needs to be better. He needs to be better. They need to see more from him. They paid a pretty penny to land Carius Kern. Talked to my guy Shay Dixon over there at the LSU on 3 site. He mentioned of the guys LSU lost. They weren't really shedding tears about much of anybody. Carius Kern was a loss, but he hasn't had a great start. So for him, get on the field and start taking football a little bit more seriously. They need you to be that dude. They need you to be a guy that they can rely on. And that's where Carius Kern is. But yes, Kinsler's been running with the ones. What ended up happening with Kern? Sprained ankle or sprain? I don't think it's broken. I hadn't heard broken, but yeah, Carius Kern's been banged up. Dwayne Oliver has been banged up as well. Connor Howes has been running with the right tackle a little bit. Yeah, so they've got some options, but you need to see more there. Is this a playoff team? I certainly think so, but I'm not the one that's got to put it on the field. I agree with C. Rogers here. Kern is a physical freak. Mental game is a problem. So far, the early returns has been exactly that. East Feliciana Reb, thanks, Ben. You're the man. You're the best. Have a great Friday, everyone. Hit that like button. Absolutely. And join us at the Ole Miss Spirit. Our thanks to Brad Logan. Our thanks to all of you who always join us. I appreciate you. Tomorrow, do you know why Renaud hasn't dressed yet? He arrived at Ole Miss with a pre-existing injury. There's no real rush to bring him back. So they wanted to bring him along slowly. And now they're going to let him they're probably just going to hold out for the rest of spring and get him right for fall camp. He's played a lot of football. If you're talking about a plug-and-play backup or potential fill-in starter for Cam Franklin, like the big question that some of us have had watching practice is, all right, when Cam Franklin comes out or when you want to do some different creative things with him on the defensive line, who can take his spot? Right now, there's not an obvious fit. Well, Xavier Harris did some of that last year. Well, maybe Jaheim Otis can kick out. No, the answer is Jordan Renaud. Thing is he's been banged up, and they're like, we don't have to rush him back. That's why he's been sitting out. And I expect Renaud to be fine for the summer and then going into fall camp, and he could be a big, big piece rotationally for Ole Miss. So that's why he arrived with a pre-existing injury, and that's why he hasn't dressed. So go meet Jordan Renaud. Check in on him. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow at Meet the Rebels. I'll see you all there, 9:30 to 11:30. And then come by. I think it's across the street from Yaya's. I'm not positive, but I think that's what we did last year. So come by the Riverland tent. I'll probably be wearing another NA pullover, New Albany. Shout out to my guy Flip for getting me 3 of these bad boys so that I can go to local games and stuff and actually root for the dogs without wearing too much maroon. This one's gray, perfect. Just a little maroon for the NA. Got to see if we can fix that, man, for New Albany. I've never loved it. New Albany was the Bulldogs, but it doesn't matter. If you could come find me, I'll probably be wearing one of these. The Riverland tent on the square. We're going to start the live stream. Sudu will start the live stream at 11 o'clock for the big Saturday bonanza that is double-decker and baseball and Meet the Rebels, whatever it might be. And then from 1 to 3, I'll take over for Sudu. I'll have a full report for Meet the Rebels as well as a live show with Brad and others, potentially a lot of recruiting guests at that tent. So come hang out. Might even put you on the air. Come up, say, Ben, love the podcast. I had a nice gentleman come up to me at dinner last night in Tupelo, took Gracie to hang out, or she had practice, but then the wife and I got a little hangout at El Agave. Nice gentleman walked up and said, hey, Ben, love the podcast. I love that. Come by tomorrow at the Riverland tent. When you said, I go, all right, hey, friend, you love the podcast. What's your name? Do you think Ole Miss is a playoff team? We'll do the whole spiel. You know how we do it here on Talk of Champions. But until then, Kobe says bring rain jackets to baseball tonight. Will be a tarp watch for a little bit. Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of rain. I can already see it. So bring your umbrellas or bring your rain jacket. Bring your ponchos as if you're about to get on that Dudley Do-Right ride at Universal. Many might not know what that is, but I learned the hard way. Bring a poncho. He's absolutely right. It could be raining tonight, but hopefully it'll be raining beer showers because a massive series coming up for Ole Miss this weekend with Georgia. And if you're wondering, what do you got to do? What do they got to do to get a regional host? Don't get swept the rest of the way. If you win one more series and don't get swept the rest of the way, I think you're right there. I think you're in there. I think you're a lot. So come on by the Riverland tent. Come on by Swayze Field. We met Brad. We not get a chance to meet you. Mary, I blame myself. So this weekend or any other weekend, I will be there. Mary, come and hug my neck. I'd love to meet you. Same thing with William and all of you who join us every single day here on Talk of Champions. One last call. Any more questions before I say goodbye? I'll give you about 10 seconds here while I drink the rest of this Diet Pepsi and wait to see if anybody has anything else. Because Mary's right. Raining beer against Georgia this weekend, man, if you can rain some beer, it'll be massive. All right, no one got any more last call questions. I'm out of here. This has been Talk of Champions. The live stream starts at 11 and lasts till 3 tomorrow. Come join us. We'd love to see you. And also, if you're going to be in town, come hang out. We'd love to have you. We're here at the Ole Miss Spirit all day, every day. It doesn't just have to be for a podcast. Scan and join today for $1. I appreciate all of you. Thank y'all for jumping in with me. Kind of like an impromptu throw together show. We're going to get back on our regularly scheduled programming next week. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patronage of our sponsors. Thank you for everything. This has been Talk of Champions. I'll see you all tomorrow. Studios launching at 11 o'clock.